is a basis of a social contract between the voters and their government. This actually gives the government power the opportunity to be able to review its priorities. We will, as the leaders and people of West Nile, remind our own government and our own president, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, to walk the talks. When he tells us we're going to work on the road from Panyemu to Dufile, let it be worked. When he tells us we are going to work on the new Pakwach Bridge, let it be done. When he tells us we're going to fix the road from Nebi to Arua City, let it be done. So he's fulfilling the social contract between the leaders and people of West Nile and the government that they put into power. Thank you.
If they don't, what if they don't want?
And thank you very much.
And good morning.
Good morning.
Dr. Boka Didi George is my name, Member of Parliament of Bongi constituency and the Vice Chairperson of the West Nile Parliamentary Caucus. This morning we are here for a press briefing. The purpose of the press briefing is to bring to the attention of the government the pathetic situation of roads and bridges in West Nile, specifically the road from Nebi to Paida, Zombo, and Vura, amongst other things. Dear listeners and the audience, integrated transport and communication is a very, very critical asset, a primer for socio-economic transformation. All the more reason Sustainable Development Goal number 9 implores governments to invest in strategic road transport communication infrastructure to spur socioeconomic development. We, the leaders and citizens of West Nile, have noted with concern the pathetic state in which some of our strategic road infrastructure are. These are road infrastructure that have been in our national development frameworks, NDP 1, NDP 2, NDP 3, and some of them have been omitted in NDP 4. A case in point is the road from Nebi to Paida, Zombo, and Vura, which is a strategic trading route that my colleagues will highlight more about. The second road that's very, very important for the people of West Nile and the whole country, including our neighboring countries, such as South Sudan and the Democratic Republic of Congo, is the road from Nebi to Arua City and Koboko. That is not in a very good state. Just 2 weeks ago, our colleague members of parliament that were traveling from Kampala and going to Arua City had their goods robbed on the way because of the pathetic situation of this road. Yet another strategic road that has been appearing more or less in all our manifestos is the road from Panyemur through Pakwach to Rhino Camp, as well as Dufile. That is duped as a strategic tourism, security, and trade road that in every manifesto of the National Resistance Movement for the last 3 terms has been emphasizing. We are disappointed that in the NDP 4, this strategic road, that His Excellency the President in 2023 even wrote to the Minister for Roads, Works and Transport to expedite making that road motorable, has been left out in the NDP 4. Therefore, the purpose of this presser is to urge government in general and the Ministry of Works and Transport to take immediate action to ensure the roads that I've mentioned, specifically the road from Nebi to Vura via Zomba and Paida, the road from Panyemu to Dufile via Rhino Camp and Obongi, and the road from Nebi to Arua City are fixed in the short term, medium term, and in the long term. My colleagues will expound more on that. Isaac, over to you.
To most of the truck drivers and most of the businessmen, we actually found out one. As we spoke to most of the truck drivers along the Nebi Goli Vura Road, and also as we spoke to most of the businessmen, the cost of doing business along Nebi Goli Vura Road has tremendously increased. Why? Because any truck driver right now, if you tell them that your goods are going to pass to DRC via any of those two border posts of Goli or Padea, the cost dramatically increases of hiring of the truck. And that has increased the cost of business for our people doing business along that route. And also, as I mentioned, there's been loss of life along that road for so many years. And that is why we feel that this is something which we must be able to do and require. And why have we done it right now? All the sectoral committees have now presented. From tomorrow, Tuesday, the budget committee is going to start considering all the sectoral committee recommendations. And that is why we are pushing that the budget committee actually reconsiders this stretch of road from Nebi, Goli, Zombo, Vura, so that it comes back to the funded priority under the 2025-2026 budget. We shall also push. On Friday, we have received communication from our parliamentary caucus that the president has summoned us members for the NRM to State House this week. So we shall again raise this matter to the president on Friday during the caucus.
Thank you. Thank you.
And colleague members of parliament, the media, ladies and gentlemen, we are here for the same cause. First of all, I would like to thank President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni for the peace we enjoy now in northern Uganda. However, the peace alone we enjoy in northern Uganda, we cannot eat the peace. We need the infrastructure. When we have the infrastructure, it will spur production. Currently, the government is spearheading the PDM program and very many other government interventions. The Emioga, the NDP4 is around the corner. But all these government interventions will have meaning when we have access to the market. Now, when you have access to the market, automatically the demand for the foodstuff or for what the people are producing will automatically lead to increased job creation. Many youth will go to the garden to produce what the market demands. So for me, in this briefing, I would like to ask you, we know that government is squeezed because of the debt which the country has to service, but the government needs to prioritize infrastructure, social services, the cardinal role of government, as opposed to stretching too much into other interventions when we don't have the money. On Thursday, as Honorable Tim Giwa said, we are going to have a peaceful demonstration. In 2022-2023, the community themselves they had agitated so much. When you mentioned the executive director of UNRWA went there, we traveled also with the ministers, Musa Ichweru, to the whole stretch, Nebi, Goli. In fact, we had a stopover in Zombo district, then we went up to Vura. Now, the people of West Nile have voted so well for the last decade, since 1996 to date. But when it comes to sharing the national cake, I think the people of northern Uganda and the people of West Nile, they are out of the national cake. The people, certain positions which are given to individuals to the benefit of those families. But if you make a road, the road benefits the whole community. the road changes the whole community. When you bring a hospital, everybody has the chance to benefit on it. So for me, I would like to call on President Museveni to address him that the issue of this road is a very big political tool during this coming election. And I would like him to make work very easy for us and for the NRM party to get a landslide like he has been getting when he works on the road. The issue of this road, for example, currently we have our UPDF, our sons and daughters in the Democratic Republic of Congo. They are trying to bring peace in Eastern Congo. However, we shall not benefit if we do not have a road to do the export. We export, in fact, we have a net surplus in the export to the Democratic Republic of Congo. We are shedding blood currently in the neighboring country, but our people need to benefit because these are our sons and daughters. We need to benefit by, for example, the road, for example, to the first border post is only 14.6 kilometers since 1996. But if you go, we have Padea, we have Vura. This road actually will open the potential of West Nile. Currently, if you go to the lower belt, if you go to the along the Nile, definitely Pakwach and other areas, the fishing community do not have enough food supply. But Zombo is the food basket of the whole of northern Uganda. How can you have food and yet you cannot take it to the market? Really. For example, if the people of West Nile, the city, Arwa city, and the southern Sudan can have access to get the food from Zombo, we very well know that we shall be able to increase the incomes of the households in Zombo, and by default, we shall be able to educate our children. Families are not able to fight poverty because they produce and whatever they produce, roads in the garden or roads in the houses because of no market. A road opens the market. So the President Museveni has always been saying that we need to increase the market. We have the Eastern African Community and others. Well and good, but you may have the market, but you do not have the road to take the product to the market. So for me, infrastructure is one of the key areas which we need really as a government to pay attention to. The people of the Alur people, for example, if you consider the whole of West Nile, have been voting NRM overwhelmingly. But I really, if we now begin counting what have we got in return, the people generally, whatever intervention government is doing, the people are up in arms. They really need their road to be worked. So I'm calling upon all those people of goodwill, all those people who are affected by this road, that come 1st of May, we are going to have a peaceful demonstration. All those who have been, who are in the different platform of that infrastructure, that please come on board. You add our voice out there. And I would like in a special way, the president is a hearing president. After all this long, after 40 years, you need to leave an area with a legacy. And for me, I clearly see that this infrastructure, all of the different infrastructure we are talking about in West Nile, would be a very good legacy for President Museveni having been here this far. I thank you and thank you for listening to us.
The class has fully.
To wrap up, strategic infrastructure is a right to the people of West Nile. And that's why in government strategic framework, Vision 2040, the National Development Plan 4, we have a dedicated program for integrated multimodal transport and communication infrastructure. What is of concern to us as the leaders and people of West Nile is the cherry picking in the financing of strategic infrastructural projects. While on the one hand, we do appreciate the renovation on the Karuma Bridge and the road from Karuma to Pakwach, we are sitting on a time bomb as the people of this country, because Pakwach Bridge is long overdue, and it needed to have been replaced yesterday. It hasn't been. Promises over promises have been made, no action has been taken. The road from Pakwach to Nebi is being worked on, we do appreciate, but again and again, the road from Nebi to Arua City has impaired business for Arua City and beyond. We appreciate the efforts that have been made to tarmac the road from Atiak to Umi in Madisa region, but again, it's taking exceedingly long to fulfill the promise of the construction of Laropi Bridge on the River Nile and the road from Laropi through Moyo Town to Afoji, which is actually part of the African Infrastructural Development Program that will connect us not only to the East African Community Common Market, but to the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. We have had promises over promises, including a letter by His Excellency to the Minister of Works over the strategic tourism, security, and trade road from Panyemu through Pakwach, Obongi, and Rhino Camp and Dufile. But again, no action has been taken to fix two strategic bridges on River Enyao and River Oro. We also have a ferry. This is the fourth year that that ferry project has stalled from Rhino Camp to Amuru. That would easily connect trade between Acholi sub-region and West Nile, whereas the landing site at Mario Coloside is close to 90% completed. Work has stalled on the Amuru side. Obongi ferry is become on and off, on and off, on and off, because the engines have aged and require replacement. And finally, the road from Manibe, Kulikulinga, Obongi, Ajumani, up to Nimule, which is a strategic trade route, needs the attention of the government. We know with the resource envelope we have, we may not have all these projects implemented at the same time, but what we expect from the government is a clear roadmap on which are those going to be in the short run, which are those going to be in the medium term, and which are those going to be in the long term. Our disappointment is that many of these projects, especially like the Panyemu, Pakwach, Rhino Camp, up to Dufile Road, has been in 4 strategic plans, and to our surprise, it has been dropped in the NDP 4. What a surprise. So we call upon the Committee on Infrastructure and the Budget Committee to listen to the voices of the people of West Nile. They will be airing it out on the 1st of May through a peaceful demonstration. As West Nile Parliamentary Caucus, we look forward to engaging with the Ministry of Works and Transport to see to it that we get assurances on the scheduling of these infrastructural projects. But we'll also, as the leaders of West Nile, look forward to meeting His Excellency the President to see to it that the strategic development interests of West Nile are taken into consideration. I thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Just a brief.
I understand that we all belong to NRA, and we will demonstrate.
Thank you, members, for coming. The whole point of this press briefing is mainly the unfavorable, unequitable distribution of infrastructure development within West Nile. We feel, as people of West Nile, that the government's promises in terms of infrastructure development of our sub-region has not been met in the time frame that has been promised. Most of the time, West Nile sub-region seems to be the last in the pecking order in terms of acquiring infrastructure development. You're all aware that the national grid was just actually set up in West Nile in the beginning of this year. We were, for all these years, the only region not connected to the national grid. That also, we had to make a lot of cries for that to happen. Right now, when the budget from the various committees were read on the floor of Parliament, we feel that our sub-region again has been left out in terms of infrastructure development. A case in scenario, the road from Nebi, Goli, Zombo, Vura, 119 kilometers, for over 20 years has always appeared in the NRM manifesto, appeared in the national development programs, but nothing has been acted upon. Our people of Nebi have received a lot of promises from our leaders. We had the then UNRWA Executive Director, Madam Kajina, came with the members of parliament from those districts. We visited and went through the entire road, from Nebi up to Goli. She promised us air. Nothing has happened in regards to tarmacking of that road. We had the Honorable Minister Chweru come and traveled along that road with the members of parliament from Nebi, Zombo, Goli, and other parts of West Nile. Still, to date, nothing has been done. His Excellency, the President of Uganda, has visited Greater Nebi 3 times this term. And throughout his speech, he has promised that the Nebi, Goli, Zombo, Vura road was going to be worked on this term. And it is so disappointing that as we come through the last budget cycle of this term, that road has not appeared on the recommendation of the Infrastructure Committee. We are aware, in our conversation with the Chairperson Infrastructure Committee, that the road had been captured by the committee. But sadly, when the funds became short, the Ministry of Works decided to pull out this very road, which has been there for over a long time. And that is why we are not happy with this situation. If you follow the news most of the times, you will see, especially during the rainy season, the buses going to Paida have had to stop in Nebi, and passengers have to use motorcycles to continue their journey along Jukia, going towards Paida. So many trucks have actually fallen along that journey. The border post of Goli alone raises over 500 million Uganda shillings every month. It is now a 2 border post. It remains the only custom point that is not tarmacked. Now Padea, which is also along that same area, is a border post where the government is considering building a one-stop center, still not tarmacked. We are very much aware that our trade, we have trade surplus with Democratic Republic of Congo, we have trade surplus with Sudan. So if we do not improve the road structure, then we shall not be achieving our targets as a country. It is in this regard that we, as members of Greater Nebi Caucus and West Nile Parliamentary Caucus, we have decided to hold a peaceful demonstration on Thursday, 1st of May, whereby we are calling upon all our people along that area of Nebi, Zombo, Vura to join the leaders of that area. We shall march with our cultural leaders, we shall march with our religious leaders, we shall march as politicians of the area from Nebi to Goli to make sure that our concerns are met. We have been promised several times that the road is going to be tarmacked, and nothing has been done. And it is the reason as to why these peaceful demonstrations will take place on the 1st of May. That is next week on Thursday. And we do actually welcome all of you members of press to make sure you are available to cover this great event that is going to take place in our area. Thank you.
We said that the government has failed. What is it?
The government that we have is our government that is mandated by the people of Uganda through their popular vote. As the leaders and the people of West Nile, if we note that we are being heard, not being heard by the government that we voted to power, we have the right to draw the attention of government through a peaceful call for action. Thank you.
Of NRM. Why we are calling it a peaceful demonstration is because we feel it is going to be a peaceful reminder to our own government, because the Constitution is not only for the opposition. The right to march is not only for the opposition, for people of opposition. The Constitution of Uganda is very clear. It stipulates that we have a right to march, and that right to march, or a right to demonstrate, a right to be heard, is not only for the people who are in opposing government, but whether you are part of government, you can echo your voice. So that is why we are calling it a peaceful demonstration against our own government, just as a set of reminder, because we feel there are some promises that have not been met, and the end of the term is coming to a close. So we feel we have a right as people of West Nile that we also should get a piece of that cake which was promised to us before the end of this term. So it's a peaceful reminder, and we still thank the government for fulfilling some of the other pledges.
Thank you. Yeah.
Now, we are headed for the general election.
On the petition, which was the last petition?
The last petition was for the West Nile National Grid, and that one was fulfilled by the president. Yes, now West Nile is connected to the national grid. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you so much for the time.
Yes.
Looking forward to seeing to it that this message reaches
Yes.
our people.
For those of you, Mubaka Wapajere County, mu NRM party. Fenga babaka ba West Nile, olwalero tusazeewo tujje tuwogere n'eggwanga tubagambe mwenna nti nno tutaddewo okwekalakasa. Tugenda kwekalakasa kubanga promises zaffe gavumenti ya NRM gye tulimu yatusuubiza nti nno mu ttaamu eno myaka 5 nga teginaggwako wali enguudo ze bagenda okutukolera. Yes, tweyanza nti nno baatuleetera amasannyalaze gye baali batusuubiza, naye wali era ebintu ebimu be batusuubiza, ate tulaba nti nno budget eno gye tuliko ye budget esembayo mu myaka 5 gino eya gavumenti. Kyova nti nno tusazeewo nti nno oluguudo lwaffe okuva Nebbi okugenda Goli ogenda Zombo mpaka Vura, President yennyini yakatusuubiza mulundi 3 biseera byatukyaliramu Nebbi ng'oluguudo olwo bagenda lukola. Yatusindikira omubaka Honorable Minister Echweru akulira Minister of Works, naye twalambula oluguudo olwo n'atusuubiza nti bagenda lukolako. N'atusindikira Madam Kajina yali akulembera UNRA, naye twalambula oluguudo. So ne tulowooza nti ebintu bino bagenda bituukiriza. Naye ku ssaawa zino twagenze okukizuula budget we baagisoma eya infrastructure committee recommendation mu parliament, nga oluguudo lwaffe oluva Nebbi ogenda Goli Zombo Vura gye baali batusuubiza nti bagenda lukola nga teri ku recommendations za infrastructure. Ate ne tukitegeera nti nno infrastructure committee yali esazeewo nti ssente ebeerewo y'oluguudo olwo, naye ministry wa works nesalawo okugijjawo oluguudo olwo baliteeke ku unfunded priority. Kyobulaba nti nno kati nga ffe ababaka tukoze omulimu gwaffe nga constitution ya Uganda bwe tugamba. Twogedde mu floor ya parliament, twogedde mu NRM parliamentary caucus, naye kati engeri gye balemeddwa tuwuliriza kwe kusalawo obubaka tubuze ku bantu abatutuma. Abantu abatutumye bo basazeewo okwekalakaasa peacefully. Kati naffe ababaka nga lumu olunaku olwokuna lumu May okalakasa gwa peaceful demonstration okutambula n'ababaka abakulu ba ddiini, abakulu ba culture, abakulembeze bonna tugenda kutambula okuva Nebbi okutuuka Goli nga twekalakaasa kubanga twagala oluguudo olwo lukomewo ku funded priority. Budget committee egenda kutandika okutuula enkya ku Lwokubiri nga etunula recommendations za sectoral committee. So tukyayina obudde okubanga ntino budget committee ekomyawo oluguudo olwo. Ne president mukulembeze atuyise ku Lwokutaano ku State House NRM caucus, era tugenda kuddamu tumuteekeko ebintu ebyo kubanga ffe ng'ababaka ba West Nile tugamba nti nno waaki West Nile fe abasemba buli kaseera okubanga nti nno ebintu byaffe babikolako. fa abasemba okufuna amasanyalaze mu ggwanga yonna eya Uganda wetuuka ne ku nguudo bwaki fa abasemba so kyova nti no tusazeewo okutwala bintu bino nga constitution ya Uganda bwetulangira nti no tusobola kwekalakasa peacefully wadde nga tuli babaka ba NRM naffe constitution etukkiriza mbuno tutambule twekalakase n'abantu baffe Mwansindika Nebbi our representative. Another Nebbi man. That is very true. So,
your submission to say that the views we are expressing here are actually the views of the people. For us, ours, we are actually a go-between between the people we represent and the government. So it is the people at the end of the day to decide. But as Honorable Ishaka said, it is us to remind, much as we are in the NRM, we are reminding the government that for very many years, for example, for the last almost since 1996, some of this infrastructure has been in the development plans, and therefore it has been it has taken a very long time that the government has not actually began working on some of these projects, and that is the concern of the people generally. So for us, the views we are expressing here are not our views. We are the people's representatives. It is actually the views of the population down there, and it is up to the population to know their next course of action.
Thank you. If I may, this as members of parliament is constitutionally is representation. It's representation. And for that, as members of parliament, we have exhausted all our constitutional mandate on the floor of parliament in terms of representation in regards to these roads. So the reason as to why we are taking it back to our people is because the legal or constitutional mandate has been exhausted on the floor of parliament and through our NRM caucus. That is why we are taking it back now to the people. And it is now the call for the people that they must now send their message. And the ways through which people send their message, if it is not through their members of parliament or through the constitutional right of representation on the floor of parliament, it is through peaceful demonstration. And that is why this action is going to take place. Now, if these actions are not fulfilled, if the cry of our people in terms of repairing these roads are not fulfilled, then everyone will reap what they sow. Because what will happen is that the president will reap what he has sold to within our area. We remember very well in 2021, is, for example, in Busoga sub-region, there are some areas whereby the NRM members of parliament received votes, but then the president did not receive even a single vote. So that happens because of some of these actions. So that's why we wish that the president fulfills his part of the promise to the people, so that we are able to make sure that we sell the manifesto of NRM and the votes for the president comes again in a full basket.
Are you doing this just because you are
Not necessarily that we're doing it towards the general. You are most aware that this is the last budget cycle of this term. These promises were made to be fulfilled this term. No, so if we miss this term, then that is it. So it is the last budget cycle for this term of the 5-year term that we have been elected. And we promised our people this will be fulfilled. The president also backed it up. That is why we are mainly making sure that our voice is heard within this last budget cycle.
Yeah, just to some matters that we have raised severally as matters of national importance on the floor of parliament. There are matters that have appeared in several memos that have been presented to the president in his regional tours. There are matters that have been petitioned. I think this call for peaceful demonstration is what we'll call the last straw that breaks a camel's back. Thank you.